G'day guys, and welcome to the Cairns to Corumba bike ride information video. This short, sharp and shiny video is all about making sure that your experience on the Cairns to Corumba bike ride is an absolute success. So check out the information and enjoy. Alright guys, for those of you who love to put a date in the diary, here's your chance to block out a week for our very next ride. So one thing to keep in mind is that the ride briefing is always on the Saturday afternoon in Cairns, and then we kickstart both the road ride and the dirt ride on the Sunday morning. Alright, well when it comes time to registration, you also need to lock in some dates. We always open online registrations at the end of January each year, and registrations online close at the end of May. So if you happen to be like me and you're a road rider, jump online at any stage throughout end of January through to the end of May and enter online for the Cairns to Corumba bike ride. But for those of you who are dirty boys, boys and girls included, don't forget, before you register online, you must put in an expression of interest form. That needs to be emailed through to me, Steve Corrie, and then that's forwarded through to the Dirty Boys Committee. The reason for doing that, guys, is simply because we need to check your gear requirements, and we also need to check that you've had the experience required to get through this arduous ride. So Dirty Boys, expression of interest. Once you're given the thumbs up, jump online and register. Let's face it, the Cairns to Corumba bike ride is all about two key things. We want to have a cracking time, but we want to raise some serious money so that we can help kids right across far north Queensland. So make sure you get organised with your fundraising for the next ride. What that means is setting up things like a hero page, and that takes around about 6 minutes to do. So simply jump onto the website and click on the Start Fundraising button. The next thing that you need to consider is looking at what's your target amount. How much is it that you need to fundraise for the next ride? Go to the fundraising page on our website and check the details, because it varies for support people, for riders, for volunteers, and it also depends on whether you're a student or whether you're an adult rider. So check those details to make sure you're across it. And the final thing, all of your fundraising, and I'm talking about 100% of your fundraising, must be completed 10 days out from the ride. So please make sure you do the right thing by our volunteers who are looking after the fundraising. Get organised and get it done early. Cheers guys. So one of the questions we always get asked is, so where does the fundraising money go? Let me give you a really good sense of where a lot of the money has gone to from the last couple of rides. We've just started something called the Pedals program, and that's an initiative of the Cairns School of Distance Education. Now, as you can imagine, for the Cairns School of Distance Education, one thing they can't do is they can't run things like a fete and so on, because their students are all over far north Queensland, and some of them are interstate and overseas. So this bike ride is their one and only fundraiser for the year, and it's a big one. But here's what the Pedals program did. It went to 4 different regions throughout far north Queensland, and it took presenters and performers from all over Australia, and it took people that they don't normally get there. That whole program was enjoyed by parents, it was enjoyed by home tutors, it was enjoyed by the kids, it was enjoyed by the state school students of each of those towns and the School of Distance Education families, and it provided them with experiences that they don't normally have. That's just one of the things that the money goes towards. It also goes to a raft of other things, but know that every single cent that you raise will assist students right across far north Queensland. One of the things that sets the Cairns to Corumba bike ride apart from lots and lots of other multi-day rides is the entertainment that's on offer each and every night of the ride. So each afternoon when you roll in, there's an opportunity to go to one of the bars, and keep in mind that those bars are run by the local schools, and the money that's raised through those bars goes directly back to that local school so that they can fund their own local projects. So can we please encourage you, if you want to have a beer, if you want to have a wine, if you want to have a soft drink, support the local bars that we have on board the Cairns to Currumbin bike ride. The next thing to keep in mind is we have fantastic events, things like the No Talent Quest in Mount Surprise. Now almost every year it lives up to its name. There's not a single talented person in that room. The other one to consider is things like when we get through to Normanton and we start dancing to a brilliant band. We've also got karaoke nights and lots of other entertainment, so get involved. But here's a tip. At 10 p.m. every night, the bar closes and the entertainment stops. So for those of you who are feeling tired and it hits 8:30 or 9 o'clock and you don't want to be interrupted by the entertainment, we make one suggestion, and that is simply make sure that you are camped or positioned away from where the bar is, and that gives you the very, very best chance to rest up and be ready for the next day of riding. Alright, always an interesting topic, and that is accommodation. When you arrive in Cairns, obviously you need to arrange your own accommodation before the ride actually kickstarts on the Sunday morning. After that, we've organised various campgrounds and rodeo grounds for everybody to stay at, but keep in mind that the facilities are basic. We want to give you the true far North Queensland experience. So you've got an opportunity to stay at places like rodeo grounds and other places that are somewhat similar. Most people find themselves either in a swag, in a tent. Probably about half the people bring things like motorhomes or camper trailers, but the choice is completely yours. One thing we want you to know is that the very first night of accommodation for the road riders, we're at Atherton, it can get quite cool, so make sure you've got a few warm clothes with you. And a final thing, the showers there are communal showers, so just simply be aware of that. What better way to get to know your cycling buddies than a communal shower? When we get into Currumbin, the accommodation is your own responsibility. The ride officially finishes when we have the finale lunch, and that wraps up at about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. After that, it's over to you. You need to arrange your accommodation in Currumbin early because it books out really, really fast. We do have access to the rec centre, and each year we have around about 40 to 50 riders who choose simply to roll out a swag or to put out their sleeping bag and stay at the rec centre. That option is there and it's available to any rider who would like to take it on. It doesn't cost you a cent, but if you'd like to be comfy, organise your accommodation soon. Alright, one of the things that at the end of a long day riding you absolutely crave is a fantastic meal. And I've got to say, for many years now, the Roadkill catering crew have been helping all of the riders on the Cairns to Currumbin bike ride out with some sensational meals. So here's what they provide. Every morning they'll provide you with your breakfast. They get up at 4 a.m. to get it ready. Far out! Every night there's a sensational meal there and dessert for all of our riders, supporters and our volunteers. Every morning after you've had breakfast, you'll also have the chance to pack yourself a lunch, and that simply goes in the esky with your escort driver. When you get through to the lunch stop, it'll simply be a case of accessing it from there. Now, on both the road ride and the dirt ride, we have a couple of special morning teas, so don't forget to take just a few extra dollars with you, because we simply donate some money through to the people who provide those morning teas for us, and they assist in providing some more educational initiatives across far North Queensland. Well, this is a ride that really relies on its volunteers, and each year there's over 60 of them who put their hand up and say, I will dedicate over a week of my time to make sure that this ride goes ahead. If you're keen to be a volunteer, we'd love to hear from you. So please make sure you email us first, and we'll try and get you in a position that suits either your area of interest or your particular skill set. Now, for those of you who are riding, recognise what a brilliant job all of our volunteers do. When you get in the afternoon, pick one or two volunteers and do me a favour, go and buy them a drink, because these people are absolutely sensational, and they are the very reason that every single year this ride can go ahead. So some of our riders who come along each year, they've got a support crew, and essentially what their support crew do is they will drive ahead and they'll meet them at lunchtime, and then they'll drive ahead after lunch, and they will set up their tents or camper trailers or whatever it might happen to be, and they'll generally make sure that they assist their rider or riders. But for those of you who are unsupported, this is how it works. Each morning, all of your gear simply gets loaded up onto a truck and it's taken through to the next location. When you get there that afternoon, you simply grab your bags and your tent and so on, and you can get yourself set for that afternoon and for that evening. Now, here's what you also need to know as an unsupported rider. That extra fee that you pay as an unsupported rider covers not only the cost of all of your gear being transported each and every day of the ride, including at the end your bike, it also includes taking you back to Cairns from Corumba. When we get into Corumba, we get there at lunchtime, we have the finale lunch, and then we stay overnight. The very next morning at 6 AM, the buses leave, and there's normally around about 80 people on those buses heading back to Cairns. We leave at 6 AM in the morning, we get back into Cairns at around about 6 PM. A couple of things to keep in mind. On that day you will have breakfast in Normanton at about 7 AM, and we ask you on the final day of the ride, that's on the Saturday, to make sure that you order and pay for your breakfast before we leave Normanton. I'll show you the spot where you have to do it, but it just means that the bus trip back is nice and fast, because all you have to do is roll in, collect your food, and you're on your way. So for those of you who are making your own way back to Cairns at the end of the ride, your safety is our #1 priority. We want to make sure that you get back safely to Cairns, and here are our suggestions. If you can afford to take an extra day in Corumba, please do it. If you can leave a little bit later, rather than leaving at the crack of dawn, please do it. Get some extra sleep after the night before. Don't forget, for those of you who have just ridden 780 kilometres, you're going to be fatigued, and for that reason, if you're driving the next day, can we make the suggestion please that you swap drivers regularly so that you get a chance to rest and recuperate. So a couple of things there to keep in mind if you're driving back on your own. So here's how it works at the end of the ride. We get into Corumba on the Saturday at about lunchtime, and for those of you who are catching the bus the very next day, after lunch, we pack our bikes back into bike boxes supplied by you. They simply go on the truck all week long. You'll also put on there any of your bigger bags and things that you don't need overnight in Corumba. The next day you get back on the bus, that's on the Sunday, and you head back to Cairns. Now when you get into Cairns, you've got the choice of collecting your gear as soon as you step off that bus if you wish. On the Monday morning after the ride, between 7 AM and 11 AM, that's the time when any remaining gear must be collected. And it's collected from the Cairns School of Distance Education, that's at Horse Street in Menunda. It's between 7 AM and 11 AM on the Monday after the ride. Now keep in mind, we do keep gear for up to 1 week, but we want to get rid of as much of it as we possibly can. At the end of 1 week, we donate all of the remaining gear to charity. So please don't leave a $5,000 bike there. So if you've never been on the Cairns to Corumba bike ride before, one of the things you'll want to know about is, what does a standard day look like? Well, let me paint the picture for you. Normally at around about 6 o'clock in the morning, that's the time when people start to have their breakfast. They have their breakfast between about 6 and 6:30 in the morning, and then they start packing all of their gear. For unsupported riders, that's when they put all of their gear on the truck, ready to go to the next location. At 7 o'clock in the morning, that's when our Pack 6 riders, they start to head off with their escort drivers and their pack leaders. Every 10 minutes after that, another road riding group will leave. So it's 7:10, 7:20 and so on. We go all the way through until we get to Pack 1. Now Pack 1, they're our most experienced riders, and for that reason they're our fastest riders. For the road riders, generally what that means is at lunchtime everybody gets to the destination at a very similar time. Alright, for those of you who are dirty boys, it's a little bit different. You'll still have breakfast at the same time, you'll be at the same venue as all of the road riders, but at around about 7 to 7:30, depending on the day, you'll get on board the bus, and that will take you to where your ride will actually start. You'll then start your epic adventure through creeks and rivers and through the sand and over hills and through to the next station. So that's what it looks like for a lot of our dirty boys. When you get in and at the end of the day, you will be filthy, and it's just a magnificent sight to behold. So when we get in at night time, we come together, we have our dinner. Dinner happens every night at 6 p.m. Following that, it's on to the nightly entertainment, and the next day we do it all over again. Alright, well, if you want to have a really successful ride at the next Cairns to Corumba bike ride, here are 5 things that you absolutely must do between now and the day we set off from the Cairns Esplanade. Okay, number 1, you need to complete your registration and fundraising on time. Please don't be late. Remember, it's volunteers who are looking after these areas, so please do the right thing and get your registration in and get your fundraising done on time. Number 2, make sure that you download a copy of the ride handbook. It's available on the website. Download it, and please, please, please read it from cover to cover. The third one is you must train for this event. So it doesn't matter if you're a really experienced rider or a less experienced rider, but you need to train adequately in the lead up, and you'll feel so much better for any training that you do in preparation. Number 4, make sure that you arrive in Cairns with a really well-running, well-serviced bike. There's nothing that your group will like more than the fact that you are sitting aboard something that is reliable each and every day. So please make sure you get your bike serviced before we start. And number 5, get all of your friends involved in this brilliant event. If you've got a friend who loves riding, we'd love them to be part of this brilliant event. Alright, well, thanks for joining us for this information video. Every single piece of information that's been passed on is also available on the Cairns to Corumba bike ride website, and it's also listed in the Cairns to Corumba bike ride handbook. So please, if you want more information, go to either one of those places. It's a brilliant event. We really encourage you to be part of it. We look forward to seeing you at the next Cairns to Corumba bike ride.